This is a silver chart on a weekly basis, and it really ain't doing much. It's just kind of like going sideways. I know it's down a little bit today, but it's my belief now. If we would have had the correction that I was expecting, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There's more news, bad news about woes going on in Spain, so it's taking a hit on the metals and stuff like that. But there seems to be a lot of buying pressure behind the scenes, and it's coming from, I think, the other side of the world. Maybe not so much the United States and Europe is buying up silver and gold like crazy, but I think they are on the other side of the world. I think there's a lot of buying pressure going on. And as I stated before, when they devalue the dollar through the appreciation of the yuan this year, maybe it's not going to be an overnight thing, but hang on to your metals. Hang on to them, believe me. Including the physical ones. Yes, I'm more into physical, but I'm not going to knock that. The only thing I have a word of caution is just don't put all your eggs in one basket. And not everything on a piece of paper is going to go to oblivion. God, I hate that news when people say that stuff. It's ridiculous. I want to point out something else, a little interesting tidbit. This is going back to January 2009. I know everybody doesn't like, nobody talks about palladium, I guess, except me. And I'm not the palladium guru, believe me. But I do know with palladium, it's more volatile than silver. It's like all over the place because it's 95% industrial used. That's like, when industry is up, palladium can go up pretty good. But when industry is down and you got a really a serious downturn, palladium can crash. But let's imagine you were like me and you bought palladium down here when it was at near the low. $175 spot price. Well, palladium right now is it's up there, right? I mean, it's the hell is it right now? It's $678, right? Spot price. So $175. I mean, you basically got about, I don't know, close to 4 times almost, right? Now you look at silver back then. Silver was about $11. So actually, depending on when you bought it, who outperformed who, it depends. And I don't want to make the case that palladium is always better than silver, but it depends on when you buy it. It does depend on when you buy it. So sometimes, that's also my advice to stay in cash because you might find some crazy buying opportunities coming up in the future. I don't think there's going to be any more pullbacks in the metals like really hard. If they are, it's going to be short-lived. I think there's something bubbling up behind the surface here because it's, everybody's kind of shutting up about these metals lately. I noticed this garbage, You're looking at these charts, it's like, this is a weekly, so it kind of gives you good indication what's going on over the long run. And, you're looking at, say, from that high at the end of February, around February 27th, we've had every week, except for 1 week, every week was a lower low. It's been dropping. That is really weird. I mean, it's not like, it doesn't happen very often when you have this many weeks in a row where it's just making a steady decline like this. And I think this is pretty much done with because there's a lot more economic problems going on behind the scenes. Now, what we're going to find out tomorrow is when we see the JPM, JP Morgan global commodity index come out. We'll see this tomorrow on May 1st. And when that comes out, that data is going to affect the markets greatly in the commodities too. They might take a hit some more. I don't know. But I think this is about it. And if anybody's in a short, I don't think there is anybody in a short position that listens to me anyway. But if you are, I would be getting the hell out of it. I would definitely. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't advise it. I wouldn't bet that the stuff is going to go down right now. And I would not try to get in leverage that it's going up because it's so flat and steady that I'm just going to hang on and wait and see where it goes because I think this correction period is about over with. I put this in on a side note. I was looking at this story. Shirky Ghanem former Libyan prime minister and oil minister. He used to be the former prime minister of Libya and also its oil minister. Last year he was abandoned Gaddafi, the regime, and then he started to support the rebels. So he seems like a real, political player and a very important person in Libya. Interesting that he was found dead yesterday, floating in the Danube River. No foul play indicated, but he might have got sick and fell in the river or something. But it's always my contention that when you're dealing with the devils, you never know who's going to stab you in the back. And that's what it looked like with this guy. To me, it was foul play. But I threw it out there as an interesting note because, even the guys in the top that people are kind of envious of sometimes because they're the elite, they're dealing with a lot of garbage that's, I mean, if you go back to Roman times, the emperors in some cases used to have the marble columns polished like a mirror so they could see if an assassin was coming to sneak up behind them. So, I mean, they live in a world that's not too cool, so, I wouldn't worry about the elite so much. I know there's a lot of people always focused in on what's the top people doing, but, here's a guy that was pretty much on top of the world, and look what happened to him, right? So, just chill out, hang on to your gold and silver, world will be fine. And, as far as which particular metal to buy, it's always like try to buy when there's a hard crash, obviously, and it says that's one thing that you never know, and that is one reason to always stay partly in cash, because really, what are you exchanging to buy the metal with? You're using a fiat currency, correct? Correct. I mean, you really are. Isn't that correct? And even aren't you very happy when you have metals in your hands and you realize that they're worth a lot more fiat currency? Yes, because fiat currency still buys other goods that you need, correct? So, I mean, don't knock fiat currency 100%. I mean, it's got its value. It's a mixture. It's how do you have the mixture. It's also when you buy and also when you sell. I also want to point out something from last year, like in 2011. It's good when people are looking at the silver prices to be very focused in also, even though if you don't have platinum or palladium, to also look at those prices very carefully, because like last year, palladium was moving up quite a bit in February, and basically hit its peak. And when you look later on, the peak was declining later on. So but silver was going up all by itself. See, if you look here in March, palladium was going down, and I remember people that were cheering on silver. Look, silver's going up, and look, palladium's not doing that great. Well, palladium, platinum, and silver are all share that industrial precious metals complex. They're not exactly the same. They don't run exactly together. But if one is getting way the hell ahead of the other one, it's either telling you the other ones are going to catch up or one of them is going to have a correction. So, I also I'm going to try to judge the top when silver maybe takes off this year. I think it is. And what gets me sick is because when people, not that it really bothers me that much, but whatever. I guess the world can't win at this game, but it's when it does go up a lot, and say it starts hitting over 50, and it breaks to a new all-time high, you're going to hear a whole pile of cheers and calls for 100. I would not think it's going to go straight to 100. I think it would have another correction before it hits 100. That's my guess. So I am also going to try to guesstimate where to sell even some, not all my physical silver, but some physical silver this year if it makes these big highs. And probably over 60, I would imagine. And I'm going to also judge the height by not just the gold-silver ratio, but also by what's going on in the other metals, like platinum and palladium. Like if I start seeing some pullbacks in these metals, and silver starts taking off even some more, and that's going to tell me something ain't right here, you know. So I'll probably get that. That's going to be another indication to get the heck out of it, because I would like to judge the market and sell high and buy low. And just like I was pointing out, you know, with palladium, you know, people hate this, don't think of it too much, but you know, you'd be feeling pretty good if you bought a bunch of palladium below $200 an ounce some years ago. Even though it was up to like 870, you're still up like triple right now. So more than triple, actually 3.5 times or 3 3/4 times, and it's probably going to be over $1,000 an ounce this year too. So I mean, like I stated, you know, stay some in cash. Don't go hog wild into all the metals. Don't drain everything you got and put it into physical silver, because the world's going to crash. But physical silver is a very good investment, and I think this year it's going to move up a hell of a lot more. And also, don't be jealous of the elite too much, because like this guy, you know, I don't know what happened with him. I don't think it was an accident, you know. I don't know what the heck it was. You know, I'm not going to interject what I think it was, but you know, normally people just don't fall in a river because they are tired and sick, and they just, you know, that's that's usually not what happens, right? So you know, considering where this guy was, you know, he was with Gaddafi for a while, and he was the prime minister of Libya, and then he switched over to the rebels. Well, looks like somebody don't want him around anymore. So, you know, don't be too envious of the elite. You know, they don't have it so good either, right? Anyway, I forgot to interject that in there.